All right. I don't want to waste your time, but I want to give a bit of brief context because I think it's important. About a year ago, I dropped out of university and I realized, fuck, I need to pay rent. And the easiest high leverage way for me to do that was through videography. I'd never been paid more than like $50 for music videos for friends, but I knew I had a base level skill. I knew people got paid to do like events, weddings, shit like that. Long story short, started doing that for a little bit and got involved doing videography for this event called Miami Hack Week, which is a week-long tech event in Miami. And the first time I was the only person doing video. I would film all day, get home at like 2 a.m, wake up at 6, edit, post a daily recap the day after, and post it on Instagram, Twitter, etc. That went well. It went good enough where they hosted a second Miami Hack Week about 6 months later, and I did a good job in the first time. They liked my work ethic. I'm cool with the founders, and they brought me on for part 2. And part 2 was a little bit bigger of a production. They had a bigger budget and wanted to ramp up the content game, which means they had more budget for me as well to bring in other videographers and just have it be higher quality, have better gear, etc. And at first I wanted to produce it all myself. I was like, yo, low key, like I didn't sleep at all the last time I did this. This is like a way bigger event. I should probably just hand off some of this responsibility. Part of like the ego side of me wanted to do it all myself, but then part of me was like, fuck, I'll have a better result if I co-produce it with Kevin. And so we split the production 50-50 in terms of responsibility and pay, and it went well. Like the Miami Hack Week stuff went really well. And the first day of the event, Kevin was working, like filming at one of the parties, and director director of e-commerce at Budweiser was there and met Kevin. They hit it off really well. Raul is his name. Raul talked to Kevin and was like, yo, I've been thinking about doing this idea. We want to shoot a commercial here, like an ad spot to airdrop a can of beer into a party. We were thinking about recording it, using it for content. I loved meeting Kevin. He's like, yo, I want you to produce this. And then Kevin came back to me because we're co-producing it. He's like, yo, we just got this sick opportunity. This is by far the biggest ad spot either of us have either shot. And he's like, yo, do you want to co-produce it with me? First little nugget here of a reminder to self or advice for somebody is that probably wouldn't have happened if I wasn't able to put the ego aside at the beginning and say, when I brought on Kevin, like, yo, I want to co-produce it because I think that's what's going to be better for the shoot, better for the client. And because I put that aside, I was able to get this other opportunity with Budweiser where we split the responsibilities 50-50 again. This is like Monday night, I think. And he's like, yo, we're trying to film this on Thursday, which for like a big brand like Budweiser, they plan months in advance for this type of shit. And we're like, yeah, let's do it in 3 days. Me and Kevin stayed up till 4 a.m. that night, putting together a proposal, sent it over in the morning. Raul from Budweiser was super happy. We ironed out some of the details. There's coordination of venue and this drone company and finding cinematographers and a drone guy to film the drone. Also coordinating with Al Blades, who plays football at UM, to be the actor. Just like super fun, like last minute shoot. It ended up working out really well and it all came together last minute. It was pretty stressful. And at the end, like I talked to Raul about this and we made a really good first impression because we were so hungry at the start and we like stayed up till 5 that first night putting together the proposal, make sure it was really well done. We were like super responsive. And here's my take on it. I imagine that if you're in a position like that at Budweiser, you're probably working with marketing agencies all the time who every project is just another project. It's just another one on their desk. And for me and Kevin, this was like our Super Bowl. I'm 20 years old. I can't even drink a Budweiser. That's like the coolest thing in the world to me. And I do not want to fuck that up. So of course I'm going to be super hungry and passionate and stay up till 5 to make sure it goes really well and put in all this extra effort. And the takeaway that I realized here is when you're young, that is one of your biggest competitive advantages. You're competing with these marketing agencies who, yes, they know a lot more about the business than you. They have more experience, more business acumen, whatever. But I think the effort that you bring and the extra time that you're willing to put in is the biggest competitive advantage you have if you're young. And it made a good impression, long lasting. Like Raul's like a great friend now. We had a good conversation. Mutually, I think we have a lot of respect for each other. And that is a competitive advantage that a fucking marketing agency doesn't have because those are just employees filling out contracts. So anyways, we filmed this thing, this stunt, it was fun. And then it got to post-production. And this is by far the most excruciating and difficult. It probably took 2 or 3 months from when we finished filming to when this shit actually got posted for a number of reasons. The biggest thing is just for a big company like Budweiser, and especially for an alcohol company, like it's such a big brand. shit needs to just cross the T's and dot the I's. Like, they have so much liability from a legal perspective to make sure that they're not breaking any advertising regulations and brand guidelines internally that they want to make sure they stay consistent with, that there's just a ton of revisions. There was a section there where I was going through those revisions and I'm like, holy fuck, I do not want to be dealing with this. I just want to get this project out of the way. And I think something that manifested as a learning opportunity for me is because I wasn't used to the back end grind. Like, the grind that I'm used to is that like high intensity, put something together in 3 days. That shit, bro, I'll live for that. That's so much fun. But I'm not used to the back end grind of going through 10 revisions over 2 months and clearing these things and like having a meeting every week to make sure the vision is right and the wording. That I'm not used to. And so our communication fell apart a little bit. Example of how this manifested, we had 2 different deliverables. One was a 6-second paid ad, and then the other was a 30-second branding spot. And the 30-second branding spot was a little more difficult, and we got the first draft back from the editor, and it was not at all what we had in mind, which wasn't a fault to the editor. The editor was amazing. Kevin and I hadn't communicated a good enough vision to him. And so it wasn't up to par for what we wanted, what Budweiser wanted. And we knew that. And we wanted to give feedback to the editor afterwards, but we had scheduled a check-in with Raul from Budweiser. We got the video that morning and I had other meetings all day, and I didn't get to watch the video till like 15 minutes before that revision call, I think. And I watched it and was like, holy fuck, this is not at all what I had in mind. But we kind of went into that meeting, not consciously, but unconsciously trying to save face a little bit. And then afterwards, Raul like was fretting like, this is not at all up to our standard of quality. He was considering cutting the budget. And we talked about this since, and just what would have been so much better on our part is if we just were straight up and like over communicated with him. Like, we just got this draft. We know this isn't up to par with the same vision we had communicated, and this is what we're gonna go to the editor to change. These things are bad, we don't like this, and what are your thoughts? Like that, working with a client, I've realized you kind of need to handhold them a little bit for that. Walk through everything that's going through your brain. They don't fucking know. Like, he sees that if we don't say anything, he is assuming that we're proud of that work. Jesus Christ. Which is a very fair assumption to make. Oh my God, what are these birds doing? But I feel like it's always better to over communicate. Maybe with time you can grow that tact as to what to be exclusive with. But I think at this point, I'm at a point in my career where honesty is always just gonna be the best policy. Sounds like kindergarten. But I think just being upfront is always the best. And I've realized this is something I think that is difficult for a lot of creatives. And I notice it in myself. And I notice it with like photographers I work with, designers, is we kind of ghost people a lot. There's a photographer I'm boys with, and he shot an event for me and was like, yo, I'll edit the photos, send them to you Monday. Monday comes, he doesn't send them. I think on Tuesday I follow up with him, and then he doesn't answer for like a couple days and then sends the photos. If you're watching this, you know who you are. And I don't judge you because I do the same shit. But I've realized that's not a sustainable way to do business. I think that's fine if you work with other creative clients. Like if you're working for a fashion brand, working for a design company, like they kind of understand that. And especially if it's not a rushed timeline, they're fine with it. But especially if you're working with business people, like if you're working with a company like Budweiser, that shit will not fly. They need you to be on your deadlines. And if you're not gonna be on your deadlines, they need to know why and when to expect updates and what's gonna happen. And I think that's something I just need to drill over my head to over communicate shit like that, because it doesn't come naturally to me at all. But that's my last reflection, like takeaway. I think that, I don't know if I really described the story that well. It was kind of a random opportunity that I think Kevin and I seized pretty well. And yeah, the more I talk to people about their stories, the more I realize that a lot of the people who are in successful places just had, and that's not to say that I'm in a successful place. Like this is one commercial. There's like a long road ahead of me of shit I want to accomplish. But the more I talk to people who have done shit that I look up to, the more I realize that everybody gets lucky. For a while, I was ashamed to be like, I don't know if I fully deserve this because I just happened to stumble into it. The more I talk to people, the more I realized everybody stumbled into everywhere that they're at. So just stop judging yourself and just do shit. Hopefully that helped. Anyways, this is boring. Peace. Go kill your shit. Hope you get some value. I'm vlogging in public for the first time. Look at that scary ass duck. Bro, these ducks are so scary. They're so big and intimidating.